Hey, welcome movie lovers. My name is Jan and this is my review of the movie She Said. Is it a good movie? Yes, of course it is. And I'm immediately thinking about All the President's Men with Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman from 1977 or 76. It won a few Oscars, not for best movie. The best movie of the year went to, was it Network or Rocky? So back then, movies about journalism were huge. The big question is now, is this movie going to be huge? And unfortunately, I don't think so. Nevertheless, it's going to have an impact and you should go and see it. Okay, so what is the movie trying to achieve? For those of you who don't know, the movie is about two journalists from the New York Times who broke the Harvey Weinstein sexual abuse story and so triggered more or less the Me Too movement. It's a very big moment in American or international history, and I think that's why the movie tried to be very accurate. So this is what the movie wants to be. It wants to be a very accurate retelling of the events around those two journalists that investigated this case or this piece. And this story is so extreme that you don't need to add anything to it. So the story itself, told accurately, is already mind-blowing, right? So everybody who knows the story knows what happened. And I'm pretty knowledgeable of what happened, but still I enjoyed the movie. And the question is why? Well, what they were able to achieve was to put an emotional layer around the events. So all the suffering, all the anger, all the suppression, all these emotions that people had to deal with in this environment were played very authentically, which is really important. So you have to believe the actors. Don't make it corny. That would be horrible. If they would have made a corny movie out of this, it would have been a crime, to be honest. So, but they didn't. The whole filmmaking was very subtle. Everything was serving the story. Cinematography, for example, she's a great cinematographer. What's her name? Bayer, I think is the last name. She can make amazing movies with beautiful lighting, but it's just very subtle. The camera doesn't move too much. It's just it's observant, right? The colors are not crazy. So that's amazing. And then of course the acting is beautiful. It's very beautiful. And I think everybody knew how important this topic was, and they really didn't want to make it over the top, and they also didn't want to make it moralistic. And I think this is another achievement of this movie, that it's not moralistic. So of course it talks about right and wrong, it's very obvious, but it doesn't push its agenda. Well, people will say, Jan, this can't be the accurate story. Of course everybody adds something to it, which is true. Of course the actors interpret how that character must have felt in this situation. The director guides the story a certain way. But I think the approach is honest, is sincere, and they understand what they're talking about. So it is not in your face moralistic, it's enjoyable as a story just by itself. And that's another important thing I want to compliment the movie about. It's about portraying these women that were assaulted, attacked in the most brutal way, and then were shushed, were put down, and how they felt about this. They didn't put this element in the forefront, like, here, look at these poor women. That came subtly because it was through the eyes of the journalists. They discovered how these women felt, and then it just builds up to the end that we really understand how these women felt. And this could, even when the movie ends, it could go further and deeper into this direction. But yeah, another big compliment right here. You know, guys, there's so many things I could say about this movie, but you know what? You have to just go and see it. It's worth seeing, and if you don't agree that it's good, just write in the comments. If you agree, just write in the comments. And most important, like this video and subscribe if you feel like it. That would be really great. And now to the last part of this video. And I don't think it's going to be as successful as, let's say, Network or The President's Men, because this political climate has changed. So a big percentage of the American population doesn't believe in big institutions anymore. Like New York Times is a huge institution. So they don't really going to buy it, you know, it doesn't matter if it's true or not. And on top of it, Hollywood now is also not seen as moral high ground at all. And so unfortunately, it won't be big, this movie, but I hope it will have some impact and people will learn more about this time in history. Congratulations on the filmmakers. They did a great job, and go and see the movie.